You're listening to North American Talk Radio, the all-new talk radio station featuring sports, movies, politics, mental health, and more. Check us out at natalkradio.com and subscribe today. Buy event tickets straight from our website to help the cause and get tickets to your favorite events for less. That's natalkradio.com. Thanks for listening.
Welcome to MyBookie. You're ready to create an account and start making money, and we're here to help. And remember, you can get a bonus of up to $1,000 on your first deposit. Now you're ready to bet. Just go to mybookie.ag, visit the sportsbook, click on your bet, and input the amount you want to risk or win in the bet slip. Yes, it's that easy. Just remember, at MyBookie, you play, you win, you get paid.
Hello and welcome. You are watching a brand new edition of Mike's. Of course it would do that. Of course it would say something stupid like that. There we go. A brand new edition of Mike Said It First. And no, my mic was not muted, but, sure. So, I wanted to do this show again. Mike Said It First has not been here in a while. And those of you that have been here watching this show before know by now the setup is a little bit different. So we're not going to focus on the setup today, but just know it's still Mike Said It First. I am your host, Michael Karvelis, and I am live on North American Talk Radio's YouTube channel. Again, I'm not here to talk about the rest of the things going on. That is for a later date in the very near future. But just bear with me. You can follow me at Michael Karvelis or this show on Twitter at MSIF_TV. Now, the reason why you're here could be one of the following topics. I'm going to talk about the WNBA stars, including Caitlin Clark, Napheesa Collier, etc., versus Commissioner Cathy Engelbert, and even recently what Adam Silver said, the NBA commissioner, when he chimed in. We'll follow that up with the NLL's CBA debates. I have now consumed the Jamie Dowick podcast. I have consumed the first half of Morning Shoot-Around with Reed Reinholdt, and by Jamie Dowick podcast I meant Lacrosse Classified, where Jamie Dowick went on. And I'll tell you who I give fault to. I have come to my conclusion. I feel like I'm in a pretty good spot based on who I talked to from numerous sides of the coin. We'll talk about that more in a little bit, but we'll talk about that. Then we'll get into some NFL stuff. I'll talk about how my Indianapolis Colts just keep winning and how people in the media just keep hating. I'll then give a betting preview for Eagles-Giants. I have not looked at the lines, but we will do that live on the air. I will then get into LeBron James's fake announcement. And I'm a LeBron James fan. I think he's the greatest player of all time. I'll tell you my thoughts on his Hennessy advertisements. And finally, I'll give you some Montana Lacrosse League awards as I would vote on them. I already told you my MVP was Ethan Thorgrave if you watched the Montana Lacrosse League, so we'll talk a little bit about that. But thank you again for tuning in to this show. We hope you stick around. If not, so be it. You might catch a replay. But if you're here live, thank you so much. I'm ready. So let's start talking about this. And you won't see any images today. I'm just trying something new that should be sustainable, but I'm just breaking through right now. All right? So let's talk about the WNBA stars versus Cathy Engelbert, okay? I did a social media reel recently where that was posted on Instagram, I believe Twitter as well, even though most people saw it on Instagram and TikTok, where I was pretty vocal after Napheesa Collier had gone in a press conference after her team, the Minnesota Lynx, were eliminated by the Phoenix Mercury en route to the Phoenix Mercury being in the WNBA Finals right now, down 0-2 to the Aces. But after the Lynx got eliminated, and after Napheesa Collier had been injured in Game 4, and then they lost in Game 5, I believe was how that worked, because it was a best of 5. And after her coach, Cheryl Reeve, had gone on an F-word tirade if you've heard it, you know what I'm talking about. I'm just explaining to you. I know what I ranted about, where she claims that her and Cathy Engelbert had a conversation at Unrivaled, which is like a players-made side league, pretty much. And it was how Cathy thought that Caitlin Clark should thank her stars, that should thank her lucky stars that she's in the WNBA. How the players should be happy that Cathy's getting them a media rights deal, and that people who complain about refs are losers. Now, before I get into that, what I said in the video, and even more so, I want to make this abundantly clear. I do not want you to think that was my first rodeo hearing about this. I will say this briefly because I know many of you have heard it from me before. I am a WNBA fan. I've been a fan since before Sabrina Ionescu came in the league. I thought that Sabrina was going to be what Caitlin Clark was, but I've been vocal with talking about this league since like right before COVID, okay? Or like 2018. I was there. I was being crucified on Twitter. I'm not feeling sorry for myself. I'm just telling you my backstory. I've seen this developing for years, okay? And much later we'll get into with the National Lacrosse League. You'll see why I'm connecting the WNBA CBA with the NLL. Okay, so that's why it's our first two topics here. But we have to tackle the WNBA first because they are the ones with the media rights deal, and stand by on that front. I know for the last couple years it has gotten heated publicly. I have remember before this Nafisha Collier thing even happened, they were wearing the shirts of the WNBA All-Star Game saying, "Pay us what you owe us," or something along those lines. And how the Aces, or she played with the Sparks now, that chick, I think it was Kelsey Plum, said, "Oh, well, Team Clark didn't want to do that." A lot of you saw that. And then before that, I had heard people criticize the commissioner before. Okay. In the prepared statements that Nafisha Collier wrote, I want to make this clear. The first part, I believe she emphasized, if I remember correctly. She remembers a conversation her and Cathy heard. I believe Cathy actually denied a little bit about this, even though not all of it. But Nafisha Collier said that Cathy was telling her people who complain about referees are losers. I have made my point clear in the social media video, and I'll make it clear now without yelling or screaming. Cathy Engelbert is 1,500% correct. Not 100, not 90, not 100, not 110, not 150, not 1,000, 1,500% she is correct. I say that because most people in I believe, especially in the United States, or let's say North America, because I'll say most people in North America watch at most 2 or 3 sports as much as they can. I think it's at most. I cannot tell you how many sports I watch closely. My least watched sport that I watch is probably tennis. I don't really consume golf. I'm aware of golf a lot of times. I don't consume it unless it was Tiger Woods or Rory McIlroy when he was playing well, or that new guy. The fact that I don't even know his name. But I like golf. I know about. I will watch NASCAR and keep up with it. WNBA, Major League Baseball, even though it's kind of boring, I still know all of what's going on. I keep an eye on it. I keep an eye on the National Lacrosse League. I do my best for the Premier Lacrosse League. I watch the NBA. I watch the NFL. I even now hockey's below all that, but I keep up with as much as I can. And I'm going to tell you right now, as a fan, not as a media member or an apologist for these people, I'm telling you as a fan of every sport what every fan says. And we're going to go through this quickly. In the NFL, it's rigged. Why? Chiefs. Last year's Super Bowl, debunked that. NBA, rigged. Why? Free throws. Here's the problem. LeBron James doesn't get called as much as he should when he gets hacked. Whatever. Flopping, same thing. It's all crap. It's all rigged. Okay, there's going to be a theme here. Major League Baseball, umpires got money on the game, etc. Blah, blah, blah. It's rigged. Whatever. Screw it. Okay? Now, if we got robot umps, what are you guys going to do? Okay? Because what the NFL did was they got this new technology where it pinpoints where the ball was because Bills fans can't shut up when they lose. And guess what happens? You'll never believe it. Fans complain. How do we know? I don't know. What more do you want? Okay? The theme grows. NASCAR, they make it some overtime thing. A driver no one likes personally or as a fan, Joey Logano, wins 3 championships. Suddenly, the rules suck, okay? It's always the rules of the refs. In the WNBA, could it be that there's good defense because these players have not shot the ball well for years until recently? I don't think the WNBA gives a crap about who wins. I don't think refs suck. National Lacrosse League, Buffalo Bands, everyone's against us, or everyone's favoring the Bands. It goes on and on. Premier Lacrosse League, no one likes the mic'd up ref, of course, but it's always the referees. My point is, every sport, at every level, everything you look at is always fans moaning and complaining about referees. At some points, and I'm going to try to be nice, I know I come on too strong sometimes. If you are willing to listen, at some points, the fans are the problem because they are losers. And that's what Cathy Engelbert basically said. I do not believe the way Cathy, if this conversation was verbatim what Naphisha Collier said, then I'll take her word for it. My point is, Cathy Engelbert said a few things that I'll get to soon, but she was 1,500% correct about the referees and did not word it disrespectfully. The people who complain about refs are losers. And I know what you're thinking. Well, what about the players? It trickles down. When thousands upon more than that fans bombard athletes day after day after game after quarter after lost bets, when they bombard these athletes with the refs are against you. A lot of athletes grew up today on social media. I'm 29, okay? About to be. I know my generation was on social media. The next generation is screwed, quite frankly, because they live on social media. And I guess it's a good thing to have. It can be beneficial. But a lot of athletes are so tuned into that crap, okay? When you hear, and don't believe for a second, fans cannot influence if coaches get fired or players get moved, etc. Because the fans do matter. So when they constantly complain, and I'm not saying I'm just the only right person and 99% of fans are wrong. I'm not saying that. I'm saying a lot of times it's a person they're rooting against. And that is why it's rigged, or that's why you complain. When sports fans and players are taught and influenced that is the only thing to do, that's what happens. And I'll say it again. Naphisha Collier, quite frankly, holding no punches here, you lost the ball and tripped up and hurt and broke or whatever crap you did to your leg. That was on you, 1,000%. There was no tripping. There was no leg sweep. You're full of it. If you watch that replay in real time, it is clear you lost the ball, you turned it over, an unfortunate injury occurred because of it. That, I hope you recover from. That is not the referee. And for your coaches to go on that court was insanity. That was insane. That was barbaric. And for anyone to think otherwise, they've lost their mind and don't belong anywhere near any organized professional sports. Period. If an NBA coach had done that, all hell would break loose. Their jobs would be called for. Someone like Greg Popovich would have been fired if not just him, his entire staff rushed a court. You lost. Suck it up. Own it. That was the first thing that Fisher Collier complained about. Now, let's get to the other parts. I'm aware that Caitlin Clark was called out. Again, I don't know how Cathy Engelbert said this, but I do know Naphisha Collier in her press release conference thing did say, Cathy Engelbert said, her quote was, Caitlin Clark should thank her lucky stars she has the WNBA's platform. I have said that is a little bit true. Because Caitlin Clark has not joined Unrivaled for a reason. Caitlin Clark, when she left Iowa, folks, do you realize how many stars after college fall off the face of the map? Okay? Imagine if Caitlin Clark had never even had a good WNBA game. And she's missed a lot of time with injury. There is value in the WNBA as a shield. It's not as much as the NBA or the NFL. It's not as much as Major League Baseball. There is value being in that league, whether they have the media deal or not. Then Cathy Engelbert, according to Fisher Collier, said this as someone, I believe, at the first Unrivaled event they did last year, I believe is when it was. May have been earlier this year, I forgot when. The players should be on their knees thanking Cathy Engelbert. Now, I will say this. I think if that's worded that way, it is, unfortunately, can be perceived as racist and other things. Because being on your knees thanking somebody kind of, and I'm not just talking about the racism, it portrays a slavery. It portrays thankfulness so much that you're basically worshiping somebody. I don't think that was worded appropriately whatsoever. I also don't think it's fireable because I'm like, it's like it's kind of crappy, but I also don't think other commissioners or team owners have not said worse. I don't think all these wrongs make a right. I'm just saying I feel like that was fishy, that was odd, but I don't think she said that as like some whip flying commissioner. I think she was pissed off and frustrated with star players on Fisher Collier. Folks, I'm going to transition this into the National Lacrosse League soon, so bear with me. At the roots of all of these problems is also money. And when the commissioner says about the getting players should be on their knees, yeah, it's worded a little bit unprofessionally, I would say. But I would also add a $2 billion with a B billion-dollar deal with media is how those women finally get paid. That's it. You can say that she's an awful commissioner. You know what? Get rid of her then. Get rid of her. Because for years, the NBA, according to the haters out there, have funded the WNBA. And while a lot of that may be true, no commissioner has done what Cathy Engelbert did. I do think 1,000% that Caitlin Clark has influenced that. I think Angel Reese, while she's nowhere near the player Caitlin Clark is, I think Angel Reese, because of the firestorm between her and Clark, absolutely got people's eyes on the TVs, even if it was for mostly Caitlin Clark. But there was also a thing called hate watching, which is what consumers do. The media and advertisers saw that and jumped on it in the amount of $2 billion. That is facts. And that is true that Cathy Engelbert did that. Adam Silver or David Stern for years could have gotten them this deal. This was Cathy Engelbert using the success of Caitlin Clark and some other like select stars. I remember Maya Moore, Candace Parker, who was Elena Deladon, Brittany Griner before she went to Russia. So many players that I thought were awesome. Sabrina, Brianna Stewart, Sue Bird, even though I caught like the last part of her career. I remember all of it like the back of my hand or head, whatever the saying goes. They never would have dreamed of this. I remember it is now popular to talk about the WNBA. Even if a lot of people still will say, I don't watch it, that's fine. When I tell you, when I said it was decent to watch, I was crucified for being a loser who gets no whatever, you get it. Like, that was a thing. Now it's like it's a whole race war, but I would have loved to have been in that based on me just getting cyberbullied off the internet. They wanted that to happen. You know it. They wanted to bully me off of talking about it. I never stopped. But I've seen this happening for years. But now the money's there, and I know that Caitlin Clark even chimed in. It's a bad look. I get it. But eventually, I think most of the league is probably grateful at this point. And I think that any league, including the next league I'll talk about here, is 1,000%. They need to understand what's at stake here. Again, $2 billion deal for a league, I promise you, 5 years ago could not sniff that money if they dreamt about it every good night's sleep they had for a year. Not once could it cross their mind realistically. Well, now it's reality. And that's crazy. Shout out to Cathy, though. I'm not saying Cathy should not reconcile and change her ways. I'm saying the players, instead of complaining about refs, instead of complaining about Cathy and the league, whatever, like the people in place, why not realize what they've also done for you? Athletes, I get, they make things happen. They are the reason why fans ultimately watch. But make no mistake, the decision makers in leagues are a major reason why those players have a platform in the first place. Because there will be star players 50 years from now. There might not have been a WNBA if Cathy Engelbert had not done some negotiations. And it might not just be Cathy. There could be more people involved in that. I'm saying 50 years from now, there will be even greater athletes. But right now, you better thank Cathy Engelbert. And I do think in the end, when Adam Silver basically kind of gave a light at the end of the tunnel, he says he believes the relationship needs to be repaired, which means Cathy is not going anywhere. Unless she somehow succumbs to the pressure and just walks out, I think she's going to keep her boots on and keep going at it. And I do think there's a chance that everything's fine. I just found it wild, the outlash of people and the support of these players. Like, guys, we got to be careful. Don't go so far one way you don't acknowledge what the commissioner did at all. Okay? I know refs and I know the other things, but I think in the end, the fact that she got a media deal is very awesome and should be commended. Like I said, I think both sides should humble themselves. Good Lord. Speaking of humbling themselves, I'm going to take a commercial break and really drink some water here. When I come back, folks, and yes, I know you're going to see not see my face here. When I come back, folks, to North American Talk Radio's YouTube channel, let's talk about the National Lacrosse League, CBA. I've got a few things to break down and who I ultimately blame. And if you listen to my first rant, just I think you see where I'm going with this. We'll be right back, folks. You're watching Mike Said It First on our YouTube channel. Don't go anywhere.
Welcome to MyBookie. You're ready to create an account and start making money. And we're here to help. And remember, you can get a bonus of up to $1,000 on your first deposit. Now you're ready to bet. Just go to mybookie.ag, visit the sportsbook, click on your bet, and input the amount you want to risk or win in the bet slip. Yes, it's that easy. Just remember, at MyBookie, you play, you win, you get paid.
You're listening to North American Talk Radio, the all-new talk radio station featuring sports, movies, politics, mental health, and more. Check us out at natalkradio.com and subscribe today. Buy event tickets straight from our website to help the cause and get tickets to your favorite events for less. That's natalkradio.com. Thanks for listening.
Welcome to MyBookie. You're ready to create an account and start making money. And we're here to help. And remember, you can get a bonus of up to $1,000 on your first deposit. Now you're ready to bet. Just go to mybookie.ag, visit the sportsbook, click on your bet, and input the amount you want to risk or win in the bet slip. Yes, it's that easy. Just remember, at MyBookie, you play, you win, you get paid.
Welcome back, everybody, to Mike's First. Oh, this thing's annoying as crap. We'll take you behind the scenes of that maybe one day, but that's whatever. I'm clearly not muted to you guys, but whatever. All right, so the reason I played 2 commercials there for one company is because I was trying to tweet it out because I've got some NLL fans who like to understand what's going on. And as you guys know, I do talk to people. I also consume a lot of the content to help me make informed decisions and say things that are right. So, okay. If you're just joining the show, I first of all welcome you and to Mike Said It First here on North American Talk Radio's YouTube channel. Please be sure to subscribe. You can also, for $1.99 US dollars a month, get perks. Ooh, no, but in all seriousness, well, that's serious too, but we get it. All right, you're back. Mike Said It First. I am Michael Karvelis. So let's get to the National Lacrosse League CBA debate here. And I just talked about the WNBA stars and against the commissioner. Let me start with that, because towards the end of that, I mentioned most players just want to play and don't care. I've talked to some players in the National Lacrosse League. Probably like 5 or 6 of them. And I'll say that there's a consensus among them. They want to play, and combine that with the other people, whether it be coaches, media, GMs, former players, etc. that I've talked to. Stars get a lot of perks in the National Lacrosse League. And so Jamie Dowick goes on Lacrosse Classified podcasts, and that's hosted by Jake Elliott. And I forgot who Jake's co-host is now, but I apologize to him. But he goes on Jumbo's podcast and goes scorched earth. There was a few things that he mentioned I thought were very awesome, but he ended up talking about how, players want to see this transparent stuff with the owners, but they don't want to give, and he's been fighting for this for 15 years and is tired of it. But he said if he didn't have faith, he would be gone by now, gone from the National Lacrosse League. Jimmy Dowick, of course, owner of the Toronto Rock, and I just want to mention this because Jamie Dowick, I know, is known to speak his mind. Christian Del Bianco, for lack of a better term, went on Morning Shoot Around, which is available today on Spotify. Free plug, by the way. Love those guys. Del Bianco goes on there with Tyler Pace, Reed Reinhold, the VP of the NLLPA, and Tino Thera, and says that Jamie Dowick is the Jerry Jones of the NLL owners, and that he shoots from the hip. You know what I'm saying? That was my quick draw. So I say that to say this. I'm sure some people didn't take him seriously. I get it. It's fine. But there was a lot of truth to what Jimmy Dowick said. And again, as you saw my first segment with the WNBA, a lot of these players, star players, kind of need to put into perspective what's going on here. Because unlike the WNBA, who just got, again, a $2 billion media deal, National Lacrosse League doesn't have that. So Reed Reinhold gets on Morning Shoot Around podcast along with Delbs and with Tyler Pace, who built the place, and Tino Thera, and says that, we want to, we heard, because Dowick mentioned that most teams are losing money, and I know Buffalo and I think it was Colorado, the other one, most teams lose money of the 14 NLL teams, and not only that, the league also saved 3 teams this year. I reported on the Wings being saved by Joe Tsai, and when I say that's for one more year, I mean that. unless a miracle happens, Philadelphia Wings got to find at least a new barn in the area or get out of town. That's 1,000% what the consensus says, period. Obviously, Rochester gets sold to Seneca Nation, and which they seem to be bought in. And then Albany relocates to Oshawa. A lot of Glenn Clark influence, whatever. But we hope that works out. 3 teams get saved. And one of them is still on the brink. And for Reed Reinholtz, respectfully, sir, for you to go on, and you and Zach Currier, to go on and say, well, they're using that as a marketing as a bargaining tactic when the owners bring up that most teams are losing money, we want to see it. Bro, you don't need to. Ha! Apparently, the Renaissance Group, I believe is what Reed Reinholtz said, they're auditors that are helping out. And guys, for the record, I'm not a numbers guy. I'm not a contract guy. People I know actually are good with contracts. I'm not. Okay, so, but I'm telling you what I know and what I've heard from people publicly and what I've heard from people behind closed doors. Okay, so the auditors, Reed Reinholtz says, works with the NFLPA, the NHL, the NBPA. Good for them. Okay. Tyler Pace asked Reed Reinholtz, so do those guys, do those leagues get to hear the numbers of the teams? Yes. Here's the problem, guys. And this is not applied to Delps, but Tyler Pace and Reed Reinholtz, again, respectfully, I'm trying to do this respectfully here, they seem to not realize the fact that we have no money, okay? Period. End of story. I don't know who needs to hear that, but quite frankly, the NLL does not have a media rights deal. And you guys know, if you've watched Daily Dive, which returns November the 3rd for season 4, by the way, you guys know I have said that I do think NLL Plus is a waste of time and money. I do think going with ESPN Plus again was absolutely foolish. I get that. I do know also that teams in Canada are paying out of the butt to be on TSN. While I do think that's a good idea, I think it's interesting. We have no media deal. And I don't know if you guys know this now, but the WNBA players are only going to get a bunch of money because of the deal. You literally cannot have any more money unless that happens. And like I said before, the light at the end of the tunnel is this. 5 years ago, I promise you, WNBA, I know they were backed by the NBA, but I promise you, people thought that league could fold 25 times by now. Same thing with the National Lacrosse League. Okay? There's a lot of people who think this does not survive. And if it does survive, 7 teams are left. You know what I'm saying? I've heard talks of dividing the NLL into different leagues. There's all of it's out there, okay? But for Reed Reinholtz and Zach Currier to go on their media tour, and their Reed Reinholtz words to the podcast today was, we just wanted to, we know there's a lot of misinformation. Bro, there is no misinformation. It's all happening. You guys are at war. And you're asking things as if like Reed Reinholtz, I'm going to get it verbatim here, and I'm going to turn my volume down. I'm going to watch this in real time. I have it recorded on my phone. So basically, so Tino Ferrer asked him that one of the things that was revealed on the rant of Jimmy Dowd was that teams are losing upwards of $3 million per year. I'm literally doing this off the top of my head. I'm just reading what it says here. Tino Ferrer then says he doesn't remember the number specifically that Jimmy Dowd said, but it was it widely known in the union before he brought this to the attention. Okay? Reed Reinholtz, and I'm reading this from the podcast verbatim, okay? I've got it recorded on my phone. I just can't play it, obviously. Reed Reinholtz says, that's essentially a starting point of negotiations. So remember what I said? The players, at least, again, the PA, led by Currier and Reinholtz. I've never met them. I get it. I know a lot of players I have talked to are friends with them. Good. Awesome. But he brought up that's the negotiating tactic. Bro, it's not just that. It's reality. So he says it's a starting point of negotiations that they bring up almost every time. So basically, Reed Reinholtz, they're tired of hearing about it. Like, come on, man. which, why wouldn't they? That's the way they want to frame their asks. But at the same time, so this is where I was curious to see why they want to hear the information. Reed Reinhold says, but at the same time, we are not in position to verify any of that. And so it's not that we don't necessarily believe it. It's difficult to make decisions based on, they're slow, based on taking their word for something. At the end of the day, we need to be able to have our auditors verify it. And then we can use that information to make informed decisions. Guys, I don't know if you saw what Dawson Nielsen posted when the NLLPA sent something to their players, and they were basically saying, here's why this is a problem. Folks, here's the thing. I'm going to bring up those words verbatim. It's actually on Daily Dive's Instagram account, okay? I'm doing this all for a reason. They brought up salary structure. A lot of players, it looks like, why? Okay, whatever. My mic is, this thing is sickening. My mic is obviously not muted. So, salary structure, how in most leagues with a hard cap, there is no maximum salary at all. Folks, here's the thing. Why do you think Dane Smith can afford a restaurant, a golf restaurant? Be honest with yourselves. Why do you think that Dane Smith and Josh Burton have a podcast? Why? Do you think it's because they want to? No. It's because they're paid to. Okay? These teams, and I'm going to mention them verbatim here, okay? Teams like San Diego, owned by Joe Tsai, Las Vegas to a lesser extent, San Diego, Vancouver, Toronto, and Buffalo. And Vancouver is the one like recently, okay? They are stacking these rosters to high heaven. I have told you guys in 25 years, the people of this league, if I'm still around, great. I hope so. I'm only 30. Good Lord. If this league is still around, hopefully, and I'm still around, hopefully, we're going to look back at this and laugh at a roster that had Dane Smith, Josh Byrne, Steve Priolo, Ian McKay, Chase Fraser, all of those guys. Oh, and Matt Vince. And don't tell me, well, Matt Vince is like 40. I don't care. LeBron James is 40-something years old. How's he doing? Getting paid very well. My point is, you cannot have all those players and that great goalie and say that's not unfair. Because to 10 or 11 other teams, it is stupid. It's dumb. Because a lot of these owners, and Reed Reinhold did mention this, some of these owners, or a lot of them, are not fully invested like Jimmy Dowlick is in his team. And you're like, well, that's the fault of them. No, it's not. Most owners are not doing this just for the National Lacrosse League, as they should not be. There's, like I said before, there's no money involved. That's not the first thing the players talked about. Off-field employment, cap growth, which again should not happen, because why would it? Guys, I get it. It's unfair. And Adam Levy sent out a tweet about Weekend Warriors, how Reed Reinhold said that guys get in a car crash, basically, because they play in the National Lacrosse League, even though it's not really football, but whatever. I get what he's saying. And they drive across the country and aren't paid for it. Dude, here's the problem. I've said this before, and I know most players agree with me, okay? Players know the reality of the situation is they can't get paid. But for the NLPA to ask for these things, they also want, I've heard like the expansion thing is another one. That they want money from expansion. Bro, why? There's no money to get for that. Gym reimbursement, which, I mean, okay. If you can't invest in your body, I get like getting a few dollars, but come on. The per diem, which is like getting paid $85 a day, like when you're traveling for food. Guys, what? You don't need to eat at 4-star restaurants. What are we doing? I say all that to calm down and say this. I think 75% of the blame lies at the feet of the NLPA. Not the players, for the PA. I think that, I'm going to have to fix that, by the way. I think that the NLLPA is acting like the league has money. And if the only reason why you want to see the numbers of the other owners, if the only reason you want to see that is, oh, well, we can't act in good faith, then you don't need to be negotiating this deal flatly. You don't. Because you're taking away from the potential growth of the league. And when asked about, this is Reed Reinhold, the vice president of the National Lacrosse League Players Association, when he was asked by Tino Farah about has it gotten better, his answer was not one where you thought, heck yeah, we're back. His answer was something along the lines of, it changes by the day, sometimes by the hour. Bro, that's not helping. That's not misinformation. What it sounds like to me is that you guys are still stuck on high water, that somehow these billionaire owners who don't give a rat's ass about the National Lacrosse League suddenly owe you guys something. And I'm not saying everybody thinks that way. I'm saying that seems to be an issue here. And it should not be. The honor, you guys can literally ink a deal. And based on what everybody's talked about, it's minuscule bullcrap. I don't know what they want. Let's be honest, okay? If the players got the information they wanted, does that suddenly change it? I don't think it does. And if you think it does, you need to read the situation again. That's not the magic switch that makes this happen. His answer, what I read earlier, was so they could act in good faith. Tyler Pace followed that up with something along the lines of, prove it. Bro, again, respectfully, Tyler, what does that mean, prove it? Like, dude, you are the reason why this league could fold. Not saying Tyler Pace, I'm saying people who think that way are literally need to understand. And maybe they haven't understood this. Maybe they haven't thought about this. But I cannot stress you enough how important it is the league does not lose this season or even half of it. Do you know why teams like the Philadelphia Wings are going to lose their barn? Because they cannot fill a gym the WNBA can. I know the WNBA is in the summer. What about concerts, okay? There's a place called the End Market Arena down here in Savannah, Georgia. And they fill that thing with concerts, okay? Concerts every weekend. You name the local country artist, the barn is packed. Do you honestly think the Philadelphia Wings can afford it when their own fans, who swear by them, pack the barn halfway, if that? That's why they're losing money. Because the barn is packed out for crappy concerts, and this league, for whatever reason, cannot figure out how to do it themselves. We do not have a media contract. And again, that could just be NLL Plus or ESPN Plus. It's not happening. In 5 years, it might happen. I have said from day one, unless there's a media deal, this CBA cannot be anywhere past 2 years. If they want 5 years, good for you. I think that's foolish, and that's me being a player's side at that point. I'm like, let's get a 3-year or something done. That way, if the league does get traction, we can ask for more money. No one is in a position to ask for more money at this juncture. And it's sad. Adam Levy once called this, not regarding the CBA, but he called his own passion for the media in lacrosse a passion project. This is an investment. When I when I give my time doing a daily show, I hope they're sponsors. I also realize I'm limited on my views because it's the National Lacrosse League. We don't have followers. We don't have media deal. We don't have sponsors. That's the reality. And if these players could just, again, if the NLPA could just maybe one more time here realize the situation and read the room, please get this done. Because if you don't get it done now, there's a chance you never get a chance to in the future. Imagine humbling yourself. And again, this is not directed at Pace or Reinhold or Courier. It's directed at whoever is stubborn. Please understand, this all comes down to media money. I know the CBA does not technically come down to money. I'm telling you why the things you want are not yet there. Okay? What's not there is resources to let us act like a professional league. And even in the NLPA's letter, it was the next major. They were like talking about the next major league. Guys, that's a promotion tactic. It doesn't matter. Brett Frude knows damn well it's not the next major league. So please, whoever thinks the owners are stunting these guys, just realize they're telling the truth. And I'm not saying billionaires are void of responsibility here. I just feel like, and I'll leave it here so I can have time for other things, I just feel like I wish these players, and again, I've talked to so many people for so many weeks, and even over a month. I've heard so many different perspectives. I've heard blame game going around. Guys, the reality is, take the last CBA deal. And I know it sucks, but what choice do we have? If this league continues and has a chance to be good, don't ruin it now, man. Don't. And let other teams, let there be a hard cap so that way other teams can have a chance. Because maybe, just maybe, if the Rochester Nighthawks or the Oshawa Firewolves had a chance to get better players because of a hard cap, that might balance the league and bring more fans, man. Come on. You know, we all know we're so close, but so far. Don't put us further away by not doing a CBA deal, man. Please suck it up. Please. I'm begging you. I hope you guys understood most of that. I'm trying not to give away my own people here, but it's like, it's so hard hearing stuff like that, and like, you feel like you're going insane, okay? Because there's no money. And I'm not making money off of the video, just for the record. All right, let's take another break. We're kind of going to do rapid fire next. I do want to talk about Colts. Let's do Eagles-Giants preview. I will get, my last big topic will be LeBron's fake announcement as a LeBron fan, and we'll wrap it up with some quick Montana Lacrosse League awards. If you hung with me for all that, thank you. I'll be right back. You're watching a Mike Said It First.
Welcome to MyBookie. You're ready to create an account and start making money. And we're here to help. And remember, you can get a bonus of up to $1,000 on your first deposit. Now you're ready to bet. Just go to mybookie.ag, visit the sportsbook, click on your bet, and input the amount you want to risk or win in the bet slip. Yes, it's that easy. Just remember, at MyBookie, you play, you win, you get paid.
You're listening to North American Talk Radio, the all-new talk radio station featuring sports, movies, politics, mental health, and more. Check us out at natalkradio.com and subscribe today. Buy event tickets straight from our website to help the cause and get tickets to your favorite events for less. That's natalkradio.com. Thanks for listening.
You're watching Mike Said It First here on YouTube. Guys, I'm going to find a way to, that's annoying. Anyways, you're watching Mike Said It First here on YouTube, North American Talk Radio. Thanks so much for being here. Let's get some other conversations here just briefly. The Indianapolis Colts, I just find it funny that a little quick story here. So I was watching the Jaguars Chiefs game with my friend. What was that game, like 2 nights ago? So it was when Trevor Lawrence actually fell twice. And when he did so, he scored a touchdown anyways. And Jaguars shocked the Chiefs in Jacksonville. I remember, like I said, that game was in Jacksonville. And literally, I live in Georgia. the closest NFL stadium, and it's actually closer than the Georgia Swarm and the Atlanta Falcons, it's the Jacksonville Jaguars. Like, if I had a home NFL team, it'd be the Jaguars because they're like 2 hours away. Falcons are 4 hours away, as are the Georgia Swarm, based on where I live in the Savannah area, specifically Guyton. But it's like that's where I would be. And I told my friends, like, literally about a month before the season, well, when like a couple of weeks, whenever Daniel Jones was named the starter of the Colts, you guys know I've been a Daniel Jones fan for a long time. And I told my friends, at the time, Jaguars games, if you went to our NATalkRadio.com website, I clicked event tickets, literally did this in real time, and the December Jaguars and Colts game in Jacksonville was like $50 for a good ticket, like $55 for like a really good like seats, okay, like middle area, like you could actually see the field pretty good. And then I told them I gotta buy it. I had the money, didn't do it, right? So fast forward, all right? Colts are doing well, as I told people they would, because I told people their roster was really good. They just needed a competent quarterback. I thought Daniel Jones could do that. All of a sudden, the Jaguars are 4-1. Like, what? Oh, my Lord. That pains me, okay? Because as a Colts fan, I'm like, oh, God, I cannot wait for our at Jacksonville game, which literally would be that December matchup, okay? So now both teams are 4-1, all right? I look at it now during that game. This is before the Jaguars beat the Chiefs, okay? At this point, Jaguars are 3-1, Colts are 4-1. Jaguars about to lose. The tickets for the same place, for the same area, was now $105. I was like, man, you've got to be kidding me. And then, of course, Jaguars, Trevor Lawrence, who I compared to Carson Wentz now, he's such a boomer bust player. He scores a touchdown. I'm like, oh my God, I'm going insane here. I say all that to say this. I now probably am not going to go to that game because it's going to, like, the prices are only going to get worse, like, meaning higher. And also, the Colts, they've been winning, and I cannot tell you how many times the national media, who, remember, before week 1, when the Colts played the Dolphins, all we heard about was, oh boy, Tua wins every game he's healthy, especially against bad teams. Colts beat the Dolphins. Boy, Dolphins might be the worst team ever. I'm like, whoa, that was like, yin and yang, wasn't it? I think I used that correctly. First time I ever used that reference, actually. Then the Colts played the Broncos. Oh, yeah, there was a week 2 against the Broncos. Well, wait till they play that vaunted defense, and Bo Nix throws a back-breaking interception, and the guy commits a clear foul on the kick, on the field goal. Spencer Schrader knocks it through. Colts are 2-0. Oh, what a phantom flag. Wait, what? Oh, we can't do that. And then the Colts, I forgot who they beat after that. They beat the Titans. And people thought, well, I remember Nick Wright, who I like watching First Things First. He was like, well, if there's a week the Titans could break through, that wasn't that one either. And now say, oh, the Titans suck. Well, now they play the Rams. Adonai Mitchell acted like he never played football for anything above high school. And suddenly, finally they lost to a good team. Like, what? And then the last game the Colts played, I'll get to it quickly here. As a Colts fan, I should know what we actually did. The last game against the Raiders, we beat them, not just beat them, we beat the Raiders 40-6. Like, what? Come on, man. Come on. So the national media is like, oh, well, wait till they beat someone good. What do you mean? It would seem, and I'm not mad, I'm just like making fun. It would be one thing if the Colts had if people gave them a chance. Guys, I'm not kidding. Every game they've played, no one has given them a fighting chance. And I mean no one. I know Greg Jennings, whatever. But I'm watching has anyone seen their own pregame show about picking the Dolphins? A lot of people pick the Dolphins, Broncos, Titans, to a lesser extent. And I know Raiders suck. Well, yeah, now, but it's like 3 or 4 games, y'all all pitted against the Colts because now they figured out, no, still haven't. I'll say it again. The Colts, with a revolving door quarterback, are always right in the playoff mix. Now with Daniel Jones, who again, no one in the media likes, they're playing well. Guys, they've always been right there. It blows my mind. Finally, let's do this in real time. Let's play a MyBookie ad real quick. I'll be right back.
Welcome to MyBookie. You're ready to create an account and start making money. And we're here to help. And remember, you can get a bonus of up to $1,000 on your first deposit. Now you're ready to bet. Just go to mybookie.ag, visit the sportsbook, click on your bet, and input the amount you want to risk or win in the bet slip. Yes, it's that easy. Just remember, at MyBookie, you play, you win, you get paid.
All right, guys, welcome back. I know you can't see me, but in real time, I'm logging back into my MyBookie account. Just, peep the odds a little bit here. So, oh, my Lord. Okay, whatever. At this point, I might just let that thing keep doing that. That's annoying as crap. Anyways, so I believe we did that because Eagles-Giants. You can actually bet this game on MyBookie. Go to mybookie.ag. Promo code, I believe it's still 12OZ Sports. All caps, no spaces. For a huge deposit bonus. Again, 12 letter OZ Sports. All caps, no spaces. So, I believe Eagles will beat the Giants. I'm going to go with 27-17. I'll be honest, I actually did pick the Giants till, I obviously thought Chargers would beat them. They did not. Chargers also have offensive line issues. And then, the last game the Giants played, they played against the, where was it at? The Giants played, why is this gone now? The Saints, I'm like, well, surely the team who just beat the Chargers can beat the Saints. No, Spencer Rattler. Like, well, where'd you come from? So, yeah, I think Jackson Dart without Malik Neighbors will look silly. I don't mind Jackson Dart. I think he's not a great quarterback. I don't think Philadelphia's been as dominant. And because I watched a lot of Daniel Jones with the Giants, Saquon Barkley, I've said for years, is not as good as he was last year by any means. And see what the thing is, media wanted you to believe that was what we saw. That was what Saquon was supposed to be. No, it wasn't. Stop that, okay? Because there were times when Daniel Jones, and I mean almost every game, would lead that team in rushing. It was sickening as a guy who was like, come on, this guy's not that bad, okay? So I couldn't believe that Saquon Barkley would have 14 carries for 45 yards. And I mean, every week he did that. But that last 30-yard run, oh my, touchdown. Now he's got 15 carries for 80-some yards. Oh my, he's not the issue, guys. All it took was watching those games to realize that guy last year was a fluke. That being said, I think Eagles win 27-17. We call it handicapping. I'm no expert bettor, but Thursday night football. Let's get to the football side of things. We'll go to, wow, that's a lot. We'll go to, here we go. Eagles favorite, I hate that, an even 7. Are you kidding me? Totals at 40.5. I went 44 on my prediction. That's tough. I hate that. It's like, you're trying to beat the lines there. I do have Eagles by 10. I mean, Giants don't really beat. We'll go minus 7. Now there is a way to buy the half point, which obviously screws your odds a lot. I wouldn't mind parlaying the Eagles minus 7 with some other game. If I was a betting man, but minus 7 is minus 120 right now, and there's a way to. I'll get it later, but there's a way to buy the half point or whatever. The alternate lines of the game actually. See, I'm smart. That's what I would do, is either go Eagles minus 6.5 if you felt like it, or do a parlay with Eagles minus 7. I don't think parlaying an Eagles money line, which is minus 407. Holy cow! So basically, if you bet the Giants, you get plus 304. $10 wins 30. That's not terrible actually. It's like Vegas is saying they have their chance for those of you that are new, but most of you are not new here. So I go Eagles minus 7. I prefer to parlay that with another game. Who cares? All right, let's do this now. Let's do it. I'm a LeBron James fan. I think he's the GOAT. I don't think there's a debate between him and Michael Jordan. I think if anyone actually watches those games like side by side, there's no way, and I don't believe, and I'll say this to anybody's face, Jeff Beck, I think believes, last time I checked, Michael Jordan's the GOAT, okay? I don't think Jeff Beck cares. I think he's an era's GOAT. I could be wrong. I feel like I know that guy by now. But Jeff Beck, owner of North American Talk Radio, literally says Michael Jordan's the GOAT because he saw both eras. I'm going to tell you what I'm going to tell Jeff and what I tell everybody. Pull up Michael Jordan. Pull up the best Michael Jordan game you can on YouTube, all right? Do it. Pull up a LeBron James game. You cannot tell me with a straight face the NBA was better back then. You're full of crap. And like these people, like, they literally lie. And I'm setting this up for me to tear LeBron down. I know, but like my thing is, that's my opinion. I think Michael Jordan would have been really good. I don't think he would have touched I don't think he would have been as dominant in today's era. But like, he would average 50. You guys, you stop. Why are we doing this? Kevin Durant, who I am not saying, I think Jordan's better than Durant all-time conversation. Kevin Durant's a way more gifted scorer than Michael Jordan ever dreamed of being, or LeBron, and KD does not average 50. So, like, stop lying. I think Wilt Chamberlain could transcend eras. There's players that could transcend eras. Michael Jordan would be very good today. He would not be the GOAT. Like, we got to stop pretending. There was a three-point shot nearly I believe all of his career. Oh, they didn't shoot it. That's not LeBron's fault. And so, like, that's my opinion. I also think, again, I'm not saying it's the correct one. I'm saying I don't know what you're watching. I need you to break it down. You're like, well, the defense, guys, what are we doing? This, and like, hand checking, that's not defense. If you look up the game that James Naismith created, it's literally not how to play the basketball. If you want all this crap, you go play hockey or lacrosse or football. But this right here, I'm going to do it one more time, like that's not defense. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Okay? That being said, I think what LeBron James pulled with Tennessee was a bull crap move. I think that him realizing it is year 23 for number 23 and it being a Hennessy ad is complete horse crap. I think what it did, and I'll go here, it disrespected some of his fans, including me. I don't want to make this about me. My point is, what he did was one of those snake oil salesman marketing tactics. And like, I know, like, it's not like necessarily like the same thing, but like, hear me out, okay? You've got people like me who just told you what I did about LeBron. Now, I will always say this. I don't support LeBron James the human. I don't know LeBron. I've never heard anything about LeBron's personal life. I don't care. Most athletes I support are because I love their craft, okay? I'm not going to ever claim to be friends. If I end up being friends with athletes, thank you. Awesome. I will never act like I know them personally, though. I don't care how close we get. I don't know you. And so, I'm not afraid to call out LeBron's crappy advertising tactic. And I think it does shoot fans like myself in the face. Or, like, because, like, you know, like, I'm thinking it's the end of an era, and I know, I get it, I was wrong. But the way you set that up was people now are expecting a farewell tour. Now, do I hope LeBron, like, falls off the face of the earth the way Shaquille O'Neal retired, or the way Vince Carter did when he said, I got one more in me when it was awful? I don't want to see that. And I'm selfish when I say that. But LeBron, like, Kobe had a farewell tour. For LeBron to do that was disrespectful to his fans. Because we don't want to take the moment for granted. And for you to tease as if you're retiring calling it literally the second decision is wild. And so I'm not going to make a massive deal because I don't think, I'm not saying this as a LeBron fan, I'm saying this as a fan of sports. I don't think that's a big deal. I think a lot of fans out there should be rightfully like, what the crap was that? Like, that was stupid. It was in, I'll put it this way. It was in poor taste. Is that fair? I think that's fair. All right. Let's do one more thing. Again, so for the sake of me drinking water here, let's take a North American Talk Radio advertisement break. When I come back, if you're still with me here, especially lacrosse fans, because we've been going for over an hour, and I don't think I've done a show like that in a long time, especially without a guest. Like me talking for an hour, oh boy, I've been right up my alley. We'll be right back, though. I'm going to give out MVP, GM, and goalie. It's whatever. No one else is doing it. We'll be right back. Mike said it first. Yeah, I forgot. Whatever.
You're listening to North American Talk Radio, the all-new talk radio station featuring sports, movies, politics, mental health, and more. Check us out at natalkradio.com and subscribe today. Buy event tickets straight from our website to help the cause and get tickets to your favorite events for less. That's natalkradio.com. Thanks for listening.
You're watching my sit first before I get to this last point. Oh, see, that's okay. How does it know that? Like, for those that don't know, and behind the curtain here, I'm like using like a third party for my video, but it should not know I went to commercial there. Whatever. I don't know how that's weird. Maybe it's because I was paused. I don't know. So, on today's show, I talked about WNBA stars against Commissioner Cathy Engelbert. I feel like that'll work out because she got them a deal. I do think she should change her personality a little bit, but I don't think she's too far gone. I think 75% of the NLL CBA debate is on the NLLPA. I also want to make it clear once again, I respect Reed Reinhold and Tyler Pace and all of them, and not just because they do a morning shoot-around. I think that doing the NLLPA stuff is a big responsibility, and I respect that. I just think that people, and maybe not them personally, I feel like, again, to just not save face, but like help you guys understand me again, I feel like that there's people around those guys that might be a little bit ignorant or might not be aware or not have thought about too much that, like, there's no media deal, and that's what pays literally every league ever. Like, that's why NFL, that's why NBA, that's why every last league gets a bunch of money, and we don't have it yet. So that's why I'm like, come on, guys, let's make this work. I also talked about, great episode of Morning Shoot Around, should I say. And shout out to Lacrosse Classified and Jake Elliott, and again, his friend, which I have not looked up yet. I apologize again. Shout out to Lacrosse Culture Daily, which decided to close down shop. I don't think they've done the final episode of Back of the Bird yet, but I'm looking forward to that. I told you guys how the Colts keep winning. I find it weird that people don't even watch their own pregame shows when they pick against the Colts. I think Eagles -7 is a good play, but I think it should be parlayed. I'm just saying, like, I'm not giving you gambling advice. I'm just saying that's what I would do. LeBron's fake announcement was a little bit disrespectful and a little bit in bad taste. To do the Hennessy ad when people thought you were going to retire, and he knew that. He knew what they would think. Let's get to my Montana Lacrosse Awards, and we'll wrap it up here on Mike Said It First. So, I already told you guys on the broadcast, if you did not catch that, I'm sorry, but Montana Lacrosse Championship game where the Crusaders stomped down the Rockhoppers and won back-to-back championships. They still have not won a Montana Lacrosse. They still have not lost a game in any Montana Lacrosse event. Ethan Forgrave was my MVP. Number 2 for me would be the Rockhoppers' Jimmy Pike Pierce. And if I'm not mistaken, Jimmy did not score much. I'll look at that later. He didn't score much in the final game. So, and I know like him and Forgrave were tied coming into that game. Pike Pierce also had an overtime winner against the Timber Tigers. And the only so far overtime game in Montana Lacrosse League history. Also, remember that Pike Pierce, again, if you guys can click off if you didn't watch the Montana Lacrosse League, but I'm just letting you know that Pike Pierce, I asked people in the broadcast, without Callan Harris, who would be their guy? It was Jimmy, and Jimmy was awesome, number 2. Number 3 for me was Sully Kroger. Sully's not just, Sully could also be like the most improved player, and let's add that now, most improved player in the Montana Lacrosse thing, I'll go with Sully Kroger. I think Axel Heinbach was there as well, but Sully was my guy. Sully was also my number 3 MVP. Timber Tigers were once again a pretty good team, even though they once again could not break through to the finals or the championship. I just feel like that Sully had a really good season, and number 3 in my MVP. My GM, no GM. I'm not going to have a top 3 GMs. I just think that the Pirates' Cade Dunham was good. I think the roster construction of that team was awesome. They played the Crusaders to a 12-10 thriller. Obviously, that game was wildly close in the end, and Crusaders controlled most of it, but Pirates were really good. Their goalie, the Pirates goalie, Brendan Godwin, I believe, was awesome. I think Pirates, the way they built that team, Cade Dunham and her people I think it's Liz Phillips, should be very proud of that. My goalie, I got top 3 goalies, and that's the end of the awards. I'm going to go with the Timber Tigers, Bowen Carpenter. I did give him the edge. I feel like he had to make more impressive saves, even though the Timber Tigers did end up not making it to the championship. Number 2 for me is Reed Watson. There was questions about whether Reed Watson would be a weak link, and he was actually one of their strong points for the Crusaders. I feel like Reed Watson had to make saves in the championship game to keep that game. Like, it was 4-2 early. And Reed Watson's last 2 games he played, when they slammed the doors on the last 2 opponents, was a big deal to me. And, again, keeping that game at 4-2 and allowing Forgrave to then take off was awesome. I also wish he would have scored a goalie goal, but he couldn't get it in. And number 3 for me was the Cutthroats, Hunter Heaston. In a season where the Cutthroats had a really tough time, I will say it now, I thought Hunter Heaston was awesome. And was I a little bit biased? And am I a little bit biased because he made a crazy save sequence? Yes. But Cutthroats had no offense the entire 2 weekends, and he was a bright spot. And I believe he was like a 4th round pick in phase 2. I don't know when the next time I'll talk about Montana Lacrosse League is, but that was fun. Alrighty, so if you stuck with me, it's been a fun show. It's time for me to go, though, and get off these airwaves. Thank you so much for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe to North American Talk Radio on YouTube. And I am Michael Karvelis saying, I'll see you next time. Next time I come on the air will be an NBA season preview. And we'll get back to our regular programming. I'm also in the process of switching secular jobs. Or just jobs. Like, this is not even a job. Switching jobs here. And I'll know a schedule for Mike Say It First and more things in the future. But thanks so much. Subscribe to us and follow me for more. It's been a fun one. Have a great day, guys. Mike Say It First, North American Talk Radio. Bye.
You're listening to North American Talk Radio, the all-new talk radio station featuring sports, movies, politics, mental health, and more. Check us out at natalkradio.com and subscribe today. Buy event tickets straight from our website to help the cause and get tickets to your favorite events for less. That's natalkradio.com. Thanks for listening.